What do you think will be the fate of the businesses from Romania after the Brexit? It's concluded.
Businesses from Romania?
Yeah, no, British citizens with businesses in Romania.
I'm in the education side rather than business, so I can't really give you any insight.
What do you do?
I'm a teacher and I came here to teach in an international school in Cluj.
In Cluj,
yes.
International school. What do you teach?
I teach science.
Science? Oh, that's good. How do you see the Brexit process?
A bit of a mess, really.
A bit of a mess.
A bit of a
Why?
mess. Well, in Europe, every time a country decides something they don't like, they make them vote again. But in Britain, for some reason, they're not allowing us.
Would you like to repeat that referendum?
I think once people have actually had a chance to discover that nobody knew what they were talking about, I think they would get a different result.
You don't think it will pass if you repeat the same vote?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, and how do you see the negotiations until now?
I think either
the requests from Britain, those from UK, from Europe, from the European Commission.
I think it's very difficult for us to know because I think things happen below the ground that we don't see. I mean, there's a lot of posturing that we see here, and I think on what the British side has to posture to say that they're going to get everything they want, and the European side has to posture to say. All we can hope is that behind the scenes, people with a bit more intelligence are actually working out something, and the rest of it is just posturing. If it's not, then we're going to reach a cliff edge where Europe has got all the agreements it wants, Britain doesn't have the economic and the business deal it wants, and so the whole thing will fall through.
I see. You live in Cluj since?
Only 8 months.
8 months.
Yes.
How do you see the difference in politics in the politic parties from the West and Eastern Europe and the rise of the so-called alt-right movement?
I never really saw any sign of the alt-right in Britain. It was very much a city-based or a particular ethnic, particular socio-economic groups who were very much into Brexit. Sadly, I think too much of the politics in Romania seems to be based on ethnicity and history rather than actually thinking what's best for Romanians. And, you know, and they're not going to deal with their problems of corruption until people vote for a party which stands up to corruption rather than voting for a party that their ethnic group has always voted for.
Okay. You've seen the politics here, and you have your experience from the Western Europe. Don't you think that there are some movements that try to force countries that reject mass immigration to accept it, like Olaf, the department to fight against fraud? Those that are investigating right now
oh, yes.
Orban.
Yes, I think there are things going on behind the scenes on both sides, and the people are dupes most of the time. They don't really know what's going on. So yes, there are the people who are fighting for the pan-European concept, and there are the people who are fighting against it, and the public are played.
What's the feeling in the normal the middle class of the UK about mass immigration?
I think we have a thing called the British Channel, which has protected us from what you call mass immigration. While the newspapers might like to make a headline of it,
it is a mass immigration. There have been over 1 million refugees.
Not in Britain. Not in Britain. This is the difference.
Not in Britain, but you had to face those refugees from Calais, for example, that wanted to pass. And I wanted to know the opinion of the middle class in UK about those.
The middle class tends to think
that type of immigrants.
It tends to think, are they refugees, in which case they are very supportive, or are they just economic migrants? So there is an issue there. But we were so opposed opposed to the whole politicising of the issue, we came to Romania after the vote, and we have Syrian refugees living in our house in England.
That's a good example. You put your mouth where your money where your mouth is.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
How do you see Brexit until now? The entire movement, the negotiations?
I think I respect everybody's views to, I mean, for those who voted to leave, I personally wanted to remain. Sorry.
It's okay, relax.
That's because Romania has given me an opportunity that my country didn't give to me, and that's cheaper education. So, because of the, I mean, when I applied to university, our government chose to raise the fees from £3,000 to £9,000, which was impossible for me, and thinking about it, I would have been in so much debt coming out of it, and over here it was a cheaper option. So, like, for me, the European Union is a great thing for young people, especially because in the growing international environment that we live in now, it's more important to be part of something bigger than stepping away. Having said that, I still respect the views of everybody who chose to.
I've seen your garment. I don't know what it's called.
Hijab.
How do you see the rise of the so-called alt-right movements in Europe? Especially against mass immigration in Germany, UK, France, and all that. Coming from someone that acts her religion in public.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we see it every day. Obviously, you have this rise of terrorism, but you also have this rise of Islamophobia, say for us, in terms of. And racism. I know in England it's not as bad as other European countries as far as I'm aware, but it's definitely, I think, something where we've got to break the barriers and have more dialogue and discussion and integration, because again, as I say, we're living in a world where it's becoming more global. So instead of creating barriers, we need to break down those barriers and just get to know people, one another.
Where do you feel better, in England or here as a Muslim?
Romania. No, for me. Well, I don't know. For me.
Romania.
I don't know.
I actually didn't wear the scarf before I came. I came, and then in my first semester, I started wearing it from.
And nobody said.
And actually,
anything.
No, not really, no. To be honest, I got to compare what it was like without a scarf and with a scarf, because at the beginning I wasn't wearing a scarf. And I think I got stared at the same. My skin color is different anyway, so it didn't really make much of a difference for me.
Yeah, wearing the scarf all the time makes you kind of a curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I think that's the thing. With Romania, it's more curiosity, whereas in England, it's kind of got that negative connotation still.
But I think
Romania not as much.
Bullets tend to do that. Trucks tend to do that.
But having said that, like for me, so my experience was different to yours.
Yeah,
back home in England, I'd say, for me, I don't even feel that I'm wearing this on my head. You know.
Oh.